Do you consider yourself to have more feminine qualities or more masculine qualities? Let's dive into this topic today on feminine and masculine energies. Thank you, beautiful soul, for joining me on this topic today. If you are new, please be sure to subscribe to get weekly updates. If you are back for another round, let's get right into this topic. Today we're talking about masculine and feminine energies, and not in a way you've probably heard before. If you think of a battery, it has both positive and negative poles, and they need each other to balance out to work. Well, the same goes for masculine and feminine energies. You can also think of yin and yang. Neither is good nor bad inherently, but we need both to balance out. So whether you are born a male or born a female, everybody has masculine and feminine qualities. Now, what do I mean by this? What is feminine and what is masculine? You probably have an image or thought in your mind of what they are, but on a spiritual level, feminine energy is energy that is love or loving, and nurture or nurturing, creative. It's very much being. It's defined as being. And masculine energy is motivation, wisdom. It's very linear and direct and can lend itself to doing. It's the doing. So if I were to use one word, feminine would be love and masculine would be wisdom. And you could see that that's not negative in any sense. We want both of those. So to have both of those means that you are balanced, and to be unbalanced would mean that you're deficient in one and or overpowering in another. So just to give you some background, I was very heavy on the masculine energy for a very long time, very driven and competitive, which I still am. But I could be, you could be overly assertive, you could be egotistical or egoic. So the masculine energy in myself got a little overbearing, and I forgot my feminine side. Not that I didn't have any feminine qualities, because that's very rarely the case. However, my feminine side was lacking. It was just, I wasn't observing it or allowing it to present itself nearly as much as I should have. So why am I bringing this up today? Well, I've noticed a trend, and usually my videos are from things that are happening around me or I see a pattern of, and that is love, especially right now. If you're watching this in May of 2020, you know what I'm talking about. Love is so important, right? It is the access to our heart. Our heart actually has love that can radiate from it. So there's a HeartMath Institute, and they show that your heart magnetic energy is so much greater than any other energy in our body. It can actually radiate outside of our body by a couple of feet, and it's actually been measured. So I'm not making this up, I promise. But our heart is love. When we think of love, we think of heart. I mean, obviously, right? Valentine's Day. But what's happened, especially with, I feel like with the male population, that love or showing compassion has been stifled. So I'm going to give you an example. Imagine a boy, okay, he's, let's say 8 years old, and he lost a family pet, and he wants to cry. Okay, he's, old enough to maybe, according to his dad, not cry, old enough to not be a baby anymore, but he's still young, and it doesn't matter how old he is, but he wants to cry. But his dad tells him, man up. Don't be so, don't be a crybaby. Stop those tears. They don't belong here, because that's how he was brought up. So the boy has to suppress his tears. And through that, over and over again, throughout his years, being taught that showing your emotion, showing compassion, showing love, showing tears is, stop being a girl. Why are you being a crybaby? Because that's what girls do, only girls cry. So that teaches him to not show compassion and love. And over time, that's what he will teach his children. Now, I don't know, this is somewhat of a side note, but laughing and crying are actually the same physiological response. It's the diaphragm releasing emotions that need to come out. And your diaphragm doesn't know the difference between tears and laughter. So they're really the same thing. Why they come out separately, I don't know, or differently. I'm not really sure of that, but they're the same mechanism inside your body, and it's a release. Crying is just a release. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something that we should all do. It's kind of like when somebody yells, they're yelling because their body needs to release some unneeded, unnecessary energy that it just needs to get out of your body. So this little boy grows up thinking that crying is weakness. Crying is wrong. Crying is showing the world your emotions, and don't show your emotions. So what do you do as you grow up? You hide your emotions. And how do you do that? Well, you can become an angry person. You can drink alcohol. You can abuse food or any other substance. You can beat yourself up mentally. And this creates a very vicious cycle. Crying is just an emotion. That's all it is. It is not a sign of weakness or anything else. And I'm talking about this because love can create tears of joy and tears of sadness, right? Because we have so much love for something or someone. So let's go back to talking about the heart and love. Love is detrimental to your health, or lack of love. Lack of love will put your heart into dis-ease. So when they literally say, I'm dying of a broken heart, or I think I might die of a broken heart, or I'm heartbroken, that is actually figurative and literal. A broken heart or lack of love will essentially cause so much dis-ease that it will break, or have a heart attack, or have a heart disease. Showing love and compassion, however, puts your heart into the parasympathetic nervous system. Showing love and compassion, however, puts your heart into the parasympathetic nervous system. We have the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic is the fight, flight, or freeze. Maybe you've never heard it that way, but there's 3 categories, and it's fight or flight or freeze. And we know that as the etheric tiger chasing us, and we need to survive. So our ego steps in and says, we got to do what we have to do, whether that's fighting the tiger or fleeing from the tiger or even freezing. And this is an extreme, just like stunned deer in headlights type of response, I guess. So that's sympathetic. And that's where your heart rate increases. That's where adrenaline is pumped out. Your eyes constrict. Your blood pressure goes up. Your blood goes away from your digestive system in order for the blood to get pumped to the muscles to help you fight or flight or freeze. The parasympathetic, on the other side of the coin, this is when love and compassion are prominent in your life, allows your heart rate to slow, allows your blood pressure to drop, your eyes dilate, you get in the rest and digest mode. And that means that your body is able to digest the nutrients and rest and get ready for the next sympathetic attack, right? But we get to relax, we get to unwind. Our body gets to recover from whatever stressors we've had. So that parasympathetic nervous system is really important, and that stems from emotions, okay? So your emotions really do control your body, your mind, and your brain. Your mind controls your brain. Going back to that young boy who was never allowed to cry, he's starting to learn to go into the sympathetic nervous system because the ego is going to take over, and he has to figure out a way to fight for his life, to fight for survival, essentially. Now, it sounds extreme, but to children, this is paramount. And if you're an adult, probably an adult watching this video, you were taught in some way to survive, whether it was from you heard your parents argue a lot, you witnessed fighting, you were lonely as a child, you were some type of unwanted feeling or emotion growing up, you had to go into survival mode. And while it might not be running from a tiger anymore, obviously, unless you're Joe Exotic, you were basically surviving just for yourself, and that's totally okay. But now as an adult, you never realize that growing up because it just kept happening day after day, and it's your normal. But now that sympathetic nervous system is going to, with the constant push of adrenaline, going to fatigue everything in your body, including your heart, and you will have heartbreak. Now, I have to stereotype a little bit with this feminine and masculine energy talk, because most men, right, have more men, I should say, than women have heart problems. And that is because they've been taught to be the leader, the motivator, the person in charge, the person who has to earn the money, make the living, provide for the family, and that constantly puts you into the sympathetic nervous system. It's constantly pushing your adrenals and pushing your heart rate up and pushing your heart into dis-ease. What type of personality do the males in your family have that have pushed you into feeling like you can't express emotion? If your heart literally is love, what does that mean for you? Should you be showing more love and compassion? Probably. We could all use more love and compassion in this world. But the person that needs the most love and compassion and forgiveness is you. We all need to love ourselves. Imagine if you have a cup of water and it's a quarter full, and you have 10 people who are super thirsty, and you need to give away your water, and you're left with an empty cup and you never got any. It's similar to the airplane analogy of whose mask do you put on first in an emergency incident. If your cup of water is not full, you should not be giving away water. You have to love yourself. You have to show yourself compassion, because when you do that, when you can have love and compassion for yourself, you can give away an abundance of love and compassion to others. You might want to argue with me on this next statement, because many people will, but I promise you that it is impossible to love anybody else if you can't love yourself. Now, loving yourself is a true love. That means that the negative thoughts going on in your head are beginning to cease, that you will do anything to help yourself in a loving and compassionate way, similar to how you would treat your child. Now, some will say, but I love my child more than anything. I love my spouse, my pets, my parents, and I don't think I love myself. Well, this is a lie that you've been telling yourself, that you love your children more than yourself. You cannot love something more than you love yourself. It's not possible. And I know you're going to argue with me on that, but I promise you, when you see it from a spiritual side, the sense of taking yourself out of your body and seeing the universe as one loving place, okay, one loving energy, you will understand what I mean. You have to give yourself love, compassion first and foremost to be able to give it to others. Because when you can understand how to love yourself, then and only then can you understand how to love others. What does it look like to have too much masculine energy? Typically, you can think of the typical businessman, and I'm saying man because most men have more masculine energy. Not all, but most men have more masculine energy. But the same can go for women who are in high-powered positions, who maybe run the household and are, have to make all the decisions in the household or at a workplace. They too will have a lot of masculine energy, and it will show in the way of being bossy, or you want control over everything, a micromanager. Some mothers can be overprotective, same with fathers, but if you're running a household as a woman, you could be overprotective as a parent. You become overpowering, greedy, controlling. I'm probably repeating some of these, but I think you get the idea that overly masculine has actually been running this planet for quite some time. And the feminine energy actually was in charge for a long period. And if you follow the Bible at all, if you think of Jesus, he led with love and compassion. So he actually led with more feminine energy than masculine energy, though he was as a male form. So just because you are a male and you have more feminine energy doesn't mean that you are more feminine. Okay, so I want to make that clear. And that goes for both sides. So if you're a female with more masculine energy, doesn't mean you are masculine. There's a difference. And that's why I say this is from a spiritual sense and not from a physiological sense. We're talking about the spiritual energy of feminine and masculine qualities. If you can imagine your mind drawing a straight line and angles, any kind of straight line or angle is masculine energy. And if you think of feminine energy, it swirls and spirals. And that is because the feminine energy is very creative while in being, right? While the masculine energy is very doing and motivated. And when you have these in balance and they come together, they can actually form a beautiful upward thriving spiral. So you need the straight line to take you up, and you need that spiral energy to go around the straight. And together they make a beautiful pattern, constantly evolving upward and thriving and motivating each other and staying together. Now you might want to ask yourself, am I more overly masculine or feminine? Or am I under masculine or under feminine? I'll give you another example of too much feminine energy, and that is typically, but not always, a female who is a yes woman. Always says yes. Yes, I'll do this for you. Yes, I'll do that. Never says no. Doesn't even know how to say no. I think no might not even be in her dictionary. This is not healthy because you're not considering what you want. And in the end, maybe she goes to bed at night going, oh, what did I get myself into? Why did I say yes? I don't want to do this. And that forms duality in your mind, and that creates more disease. And I read somewhere that type of energy or quality of always saying yes, most women who have that will end up with breast cancer because that's where it manifests. So again, it causes dis-ease. So all of these imbalances, any type of imbalance will cause dis-ease, but we are particularly talking about masculine and feminine energies at this moment, which is the love, the heart, and the brain. So wisdom and love. You may be now asking yourself, am I deficient or am I not? How do you find out? Well, ask yourself, am I being or am I doing? If I'm doing and being, if I have both of those, then there's a good chance that you are pretty close in balance. If you are mostly doing, then you are masculine. If you're mostly being, then you are feminine. Again, this is not female or male, this is an energy. We need both. I can tell you that there was a part of me for some time that was very masculine in doing. I was always doing, like I always had to be doing something. I'm actually kind of still like that. I'm always working on this balance. It's, a tricky balance to keep. And when you know somebody who's always busy doing something, they never sit down. They're always cleaning something or finagling something or going shopping or doing. That's very masculine energy taking over. Again, that will tax out your adrenals and wear out your heart really fast. Now, on the flip side, if you know someone who's being, too much being, sitting around a lot, not doing much of anything, very unmotivated, that too will cause disease. So we want to balance this. And how do you balance this? Well, you ask yourself first, am I doing or am I being? And then find out the opposite. This is what I should be adding to my life so that I balance out my energies. But just constantly ask yourself, am I doing or am I being? And you'll get the answer. You know the answer. Neither answer is wrong or right. It just is. So rather than beat yourself up, show yourself some love and compassion. We all need feminine and masculine energy to be balanced in our life. Okay, so I talked your ear off about masculine and feminine energy for the last, 20 something minutes. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. That would be so wonderful. I'd appreciate it. And be sure to check up for weekly updates. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thanks for watching. Love you. Bye.